I'm going to go to the phones and I'll come back in the room here. Jeff Schogel, Task and Purpose.
Thank you. When you say the U.S. and Israel are consulting, are both sides working collaboratively to come up with a list of targets that Israel should strike?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff, for the question. I'm just not going to be able to provide more details on what those conversations look like, other than that we are in close coordination and consultation with our Israeli counterparts. Laura Seligman, Wall Street Journal.
Hey, Sabrina. My question is, does Secretary Austin support an Israeli strike on Iran's oil fields or its nuclear facilities?
Yeah, thanks, Laura, for the question. I'm just not going to get into hypotheticals or speculate on what an Israeli response could look like, other than to say that we continue to talk with them about a potential response. Last question on the phone. I believe it's Patrick Tucker, Defense One.
Thanks, Sabrina. I probably know the answer to this, but can you comment on reports that Israel has bombed a Russian airbase in Syria? And following up on that, the Defense Department has shown that it's willing to take preemptive kinetic action against Houthi militants that are preparing to stage missile attacks against Israeli targets or targets in the Red Sea. Would that same policy apply to Russian forces that are clearly preparing to stage attacks against Israel or other targets in the region, or would they get a slightly different policy, even if they're engaging in the same preparatory strike action?
Thanks, Patrick, for your question. So I'm not tracking the strike that you referenced in Syria. So, I just don't have anything to add on that. The actions that we take in the Red Sea are defensive in nature. And when, U.S. forces are threatened or there is a threat to commercial shipping, that's why the Secretary stood up Operation Prosperity Guardian. It is in self-defense, and it is a coalition that has come together of like-minded nations to combat that Houthi threat. Not going to speculate on, other threats down the line. This department, as you have seen, can make adjustments at any time all over the world. And I'll just leave it at that. Happy to come. Yeah. I'll start.
Thank you. So today, President Zelensky urged NATO allies to help intercept Iranian missiles and drones over Ukraine as they do with Israel. Can the United States and allies help Ukraine with that? I mean, since it's possible with Israel, why cannot it be done with Ukraine?
Thank you for the question. While I appreciate the question, we are talking about two very different landscapes and battlefields. The president, at the very beginning of when Russia invaded Ukraine, has directed this department to provide Ukraine what it needs on the battlefield. They have been very successful in employing, whether it be air defenses or other capabilities, to continue to take back their territory. The secretary just had a call with Minister Umerov, getting that battlefield update, getting to better understand what other capabilities they might need, if any. The president has made a commitment that, the United States is not putting boots on the ground into Ukraine, but we are supporting Ukraine in their efforts to take back their sovereign territory.
Well, shooting like those targets, say from Polish or Romanian territory, would that be putting boots on the ground?
That would be involving us in a war in a different way. And right now we feel that Ukraine has been able to successfully defend against, Russian strikes to their cities, to their populations, to their infrastructure. And we're going to continue to make sure that they have the support that they need to do that.
Separately, one more. On the F-16 training for Ukraine of those 18 additional pilots, do you have any time frame for that? Will it begin this year, next year? Any details?
I don't have any time frame for you on that. As you know, one of the requirements for pilot training is a proficiency in the English language. So, once those pilots are trained and ready, we will start working with them. But I just don't have an update or timeline for you. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Sabrina. Two questions. First, if Iran failed in its attack on Israel, what's the logic behind a response from Israel? And do you believe that an Israeli attack on Iran is imminent?
Look, we're continuing to consult with them. So in terms of something imminent, that remains to be seen. Iran did fail in its attack against Israel, but I think it's important to put it into context that they launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles towards Israel. Israel has a right to respond to that. I'm going to leave it at that.
Lastly, Iran used Iraqi airspace to launch its missile towards Israel. Do you knowledge any missiles intercepted in Iraq? And if I may add, you have enough airspace, enough defense capabilities in Iraq, not just to defend your forces, but to respond to Iranian missiles if launched on Israel.
We have deep air defense capability in Iraq. In terms of anything that was shot down over Iraqi airspace, the U.S. engagement when it came to the attack on October 1st came from our 2 destroyers in the Eastern Med. So anything shot down in the air or over Iraqi airspace, I'd refer you to the Israeli government to speak to that.